that happened, but
There we go. There's the input. There's the output. Wait, no, they're streaming. Okay. Can I get somebody? Hang on. There we go. Walter, can I just get you to say something? I just put the seeds, I just put the headphones in. Is that okay? Two things.
right.
Is my audio coming in
Can you
okay?
hear me?
And second thing, Walter, can I just get you to say like test, test or something so I can see if I can hear you through these guys?
Test or something so I can hear you.
Not
Can you hear
getting
me?
it. So I think what
We
I'm
can
going
hear
to
you just
do
fine.
is ignore that. Yeah. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to lose it. I'm not. I mean, yeah, I'm going to lose. All right. I'm going back to. There we go. There's the input. There's the output. Wait, no, they're streaming. Okay. Can I get somebody? Hang on. There we go. Walter, can I just get you to say something? I just put the seeds. I just is my audio so I can see if I can
Fine.
lose it. say something. Audio is back. Seeds? Seeds, listen. I need more clarity. Like I'm hearing something on YouTube, not helping me. And YouTube is back, not helping me. Talk to me, man. I'll lose these. By the way, Then the question is, then we'll see if we get, man, I hate this every freaking time. It's still less intrusion than driving to campus. Okay, I'm going to do that on the output. Okay. Okay, so on my mark, starting when the hand comes in sideways, something like that. Okay, what's my audio? Is my audio happening? Okay, YouTube is back when I've got the audio. Okay, now the last test, because I think we may be in a situation where it's like I can hear you guys and it goes through YouTube, or it's like one or the other or something. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, can I get somebody just to say something? Yeah, I'm going to leave the earbuds in from right here. But I don't know that I'll be able to have the audio from you guys making it away. But if somebody could just do, it's like a weird dynamic where it's like either I can hear you or YouTube can hear you, but not both. So can I get somebody just to say, like, Walter, would you mind just saying, you know, Caribbean cruise, yeah, baby, or something? I'll tell you if I hear it, and then if somebody could listen for it on YouTube. So I'm the only one speaking that I can hear. Okay.
You just want me to say something? Is that right?
Yeah. So here's the deal. This is our deal. Can you hear the student comments on YouTube? Is that what I'm getting? So, okay, it sounds like I can't hear in my earbuds or on the display when somebody is speaking, but it does go through YouTube. So there we have it. I got to debug this piece of crap. Stupid system. Okay. All right. So I think what we've got to go with, I get to talk, my voice gets recorded, you guys just do text comments. Yeah, I don't hear him. I don't hear him myself live. I got to debug this stupid thing. Okay. But are we good for me to go? Are we good to go? Okay. But the dilemma is, if you make a comment, this is your secret passage. If you make the comment, it'll show up on YouTube, and I won't be able to hear it unless I don't even know what. I can get a YouTube thread going on my phone and have that just be out of band. I don't even know. Let's just roll with this. I don't know. I'll get it. I'll figure it out. All right. Hey, hi everybody. So I think we already decided that Walter won the spring break award by going on a Caribbean cruise on Disney. Disney is great. By the way, you want to talk about great design, right? And by the way, as long as hold on, I have to grab something. I have a couple books I want to bounce off of you and throw them into the mix. Hang on a second. They're just on my shelf right over here. But just sparked by Walter. I recommend any of the following books. One of them is this book, Disneyland Through the Decades. I mean, I'm a fan of the mouse, you know, the general Disneyland experience. But what's amazing to me is the creative process and the design process. You don't get something like Disneyland just popping out for free. And there's a bunch of dynamics that come into play. And in fact, this was an early sketch. If I'm going to show this to you, an early sketch of Disneyland. I think this is a sketch actually drawn by Walt Disney of what he wanted Disneyland to look like. Where are we at here? Just right in the middle of Anaheim. But what's amazing is you read about it. There's three others that I want to show you. But as you read about Disneyland and the creation of it and the brilliance of Walt Disney, who is, if you search for a more or less contemporary in the software or computer world, the closest thing you get is Steve Jobs. This one is a book entitled Designing Disney, Imagineering and the Art of the Show. These are all fantastic. And then two biographies that I recommend. Just, you know, you can pick one, but these are all just really amazing resources. If you want to be a designer, and again, like I've talked about over and over and over again, I don't care if the design you want to do is just to be a really great designer of software modules, or if you want to be a designer of interface. The concept is the same, and empathy remains. I hope if there's one thing you come away with this thing with, I hope it's use cases and empathy. Okay. And what Disney did was he went on a road trip. I think he took his two kids and traveled the country and just hit every amusement park that he could find, attended each one for a few days, made copious notes about the experience, what worked, what didn't work, and eventually just became the world's expert at amusement parks by personal experience. And then came back and designed Disney World, you know, and had all these ideas that had grown by sort of seeing a lot of bad examples. But Disney cared about things like how far apart garbage cans were. You think about it, there's an optimal point of garbage cans, right? If they're too close together, it's just nothing but garbage cans, right? Limit of the function as garbage can number approaches infinity is very easy to throw away your hot dog wrapper. And he literally figured out how many steps an average individual at an amusement park would take while eating a hot dog. And then from that, sort of statistically determined the optimal placement of garbage cans so that anybody having eaten a hot dog while walking through the park would only have to carry, you know, after no matter where they were when they started eating the dog, when they were done, they would be within close eyesight of a garbage can from anywhere in the park. It was that level of detail. And if you think about it, it's almost sort of Jobsian, you know, it reminds you almost of Steve Jobs, that kind of psychotic level of attention to detail. But what pops out of that is an experience of which you are more or less unconscious. It's kind of a subconscious experience. All you know is that it was great, right? So when you look at code, you don't necessarily know what somebody did, but you do know that, wow, this, you know, her code is so easy to understand, right? And his code sucks, right? You know that, but you don't necessarily know exactly why. Back to shiny objects and squeaking doors. Do you see how it all fits together? And man, thank you, Lance, for dropping the Goodreads on those. The fourth one, did you get the fourth one, Lance? Which is the Disneyland Through the Decades. This was I think, Lance, this is the one that's not in that list, if you've got it. Yeah. All right. Let me see. Looking real quick now. That's just a little bit of a diversion. Sorry for burning all the time. Let me see. So, Mr. Seeds, Disneyland is the closest place to hell on earth. I demand. Oh, referring to the overpopulation of whiny kids. Yeah, I was about to say. I demand further explanation. The happiest place on earth. Chuck is all about those frozen guacamole. Is that a thing, Mike? Do they really sell frozen guacamole bars? I hope not. Riley, no, is it really Defunct Land YouTube channel? You're not just making that up?
Yeah, it's a channel that focuses on amusement parks and amusement park rides that have been shut down. But they did a comprehensive series on well, it doesn't
Gunner
go
was
into
there when he was
intense
18. All I
detail.
remember was waiting and wearing a mouse ears hat. No pride whatsoever if you're 18 wearing a mouse ears hat, but I'm for it. I'm for it. Seeds went to Disney World in Florida in July, and the lines were unholy, as was the heat. 3-hour wait. Yeah, see, that's. I don't know how you fix that, right? Mike, they really do. Amazing. Oh yeah, so sorry, man. So Riley, yeah, remember that I can't hear the Discord stuff feeding through. I've got to change my configuration. What I really need to do is take that Windows machine over there and configure it up for both Discord and OBS and just reconstruct it. So yes, apologies, Riley. If you want to type that, whatever you said, that would be fantastic. I appreciate what you have to say. You know, not so much the others, but mostly just Riley. No, I'm just kidding. But I do appreciate Riley's comments. Mike suggests that the free market system will do its thing. I would suggest that it hasn't worked so far. Right when school starts, says Mr. Seeds, no lines whatsoever. Nice. Riley said it's a channel that focuses on old defunct theme park rides, but they did a series on the major inspirations for Walt and the events surrounding the creation of the park and developments in the park up to his death. Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, Riley, you have a link? Would you mind drumming up a link? Because that would be amazing just for everybody and for me. Wes, I was there last week. Wes was sandbagging. You did do something cool on spring break. Thank you, Riley, for the link, which is in the chat now. Wes, I was there last week. Between the new pay-to-use Genie system replacing Fast Passes, being spring break, and it being their wine and food festival, you drop a wine and food festival on top of spring break? It was absurdly packed. Gunner, it's hard to make an experience everyone can afford without everyone going there at the same time. Yes. So Luke asks, is the point of Disneyland to be an experience everyone can afford? Because I don't think it's been like that for a long time. I don't think that was the motivation, Luke, but maybe it was. So Riley, you said they have a documentary on queuing talking about the success and failure of FastPass, 2 hours long. You're talking about Defunct Land, I presume. Luke says they keep raising prices. People keep showing up. Gunner, trying to be funny, says with so many kids, it's always a wine festival. Okay, Gunner, shame on you. You go to the penalty box now, Gunner. 3 minutes in the penalty box. So it's too young to start with the dad jokes, Gunner, okay? You got to get a little more white hair before you can drop the dad jokes on everybody. Okay, my friends, let's talk about anyway that a little bit of a design diversion, and not to mention my apparently sucky design for all the things we're doing. But I will get it set up on my Windows machine. I promise. Oh, one other thing I was going to tell you while I'm pulling up my slides. I want to talk about class diagrams. We started. I guess keep getting distracted because this other crap is so much more interesting. Okay. Do you remember I told you I had some, what did I say? Did I say I had some news? What did I say? What did I say a week before spring break? And I said I might give a big reveal when I come back. Hang on, where are we? There we go. Let's see if you remember what I said. Yeah, I'm going to Montana. Big news. No beans. Oh, the spilling of the beans. Mr. Seeds, you are correct. Yes, Alex, I'm gone on Wednesday. Well, yeah. So I'm gone on Wednesday, but my intention is to still have class, but I will be in Montana instead of Lehigh. I will be flying in, supposed to arrive around 1:30. So my goal would be to get to the hotel in time to get sort of settled in, and either from the hotel or the office that I'm going to be visiting. I'll probably go straight to the office and then just jump on the Wi-Fi from there and do class remote from a conference room. Okay, hang on. There's class diagrams. Okay. Before spring break, James said that I said I may be stepping back from school or something. Did I? I don't think I said that. Yeah, Seeds, do not post that Reese's Bean Cup or I will ban you. I swear it. Montana. I am going to go to Helena, Montana. No, I'm not moving to Montana. I'm not moving. I'm parked right here. Okay, but here's the deal. Okay, you ready for this? I didn't know when was the right time to disclose this because it's sort of weirdly bittersweet. But I am leaving the university after this semester after 4 years. Yeah, both Chucks. We're now out of Chucks. We're fresh out of Chucks. Me and Chuck Allison. Yeah. So, Seeds, I appreciate the vote of confidence. I do, but no, and what's interesting is I'm not like, contrary to the rumors I'm about to start, I'm not being forced out. It's a voluntary thing. In fact, I'm actually just in the process of acquiring tenure, which is sort of, the lifetime appointment thing. So I'm actually okay for tenure, which would be the second university I've had tenure at, the other one being BYU. No, it comes down to a number of factors, but probably the biggest one of which is just economics. And then a long story, it all has to do with kind of just setting up for retirement versus not being ready for that and what I can do and what kind of time. And really, that's kind of what it comes down to. I've told you guys that I do a lot of consulting and after a fashion just to try to get the dollars up to industry level. Via consulting, I wind up working 60 to 80 hours a week, every single week, week after week for decades. And it's, at the end of the day, it's not sustainable. So I honestly, I will just say this. Most of the administrative crap is just bull crap. I mean, I understand about 30% of it as being necessary. And at a school, like any state school, there's a lot of bureaucracy that is largely not necessary, but is a product of the structure of a state-run university, which creates a tremendous amount of just suck for no reason. my one man's opinion. But the highlight always for me is just you guys, just the students, classroom, the interactions. You guys are a blast. You're smart. You're, especially in the upper division, you're learning how to be good at this field. You've got great careers ahead of you. It's so, I feel pretty grateful for the 4 years on this, unretiring to UVU, but I'm sort of retiring back again. So then, what am I going to do? And by the way, Mike, thank you. Dana, Other Chuck, Wellborn. That I take that as a great compliment to be lumped in with those guys. Especially my friend Dana. I've known Dana Doggett since the early 90s. We've been friends for a really long time. And anyway, and Other Chuck, Allison is amazing, and Curtis already retired, Wellborn, but so not Montana. Reason I'm going to Montana. So I took a position. How many of you are familiar with a company called SoFi? It's a fintech company. SoFi is the name on the LA Rams football stadium. If any of you are, if any of y'all's watch the Super Bowl or follow the Rams, but that's SoFi. Capital S, little O, capital F, little I. SoFi, social finance. Anyway, as all fintech companies do, SoFi has a big data division. There we go. Thanks, Lance. Yep. Yeah, that is the one. Yep. Anthony, I'm curious about what your experience. SoFi, by the way, has a very high level of care about customer experience, in a way that I think goes past lip service and to real stuff. I've been pretty impressed. So there is at SoFi a division called the Big Data Division. The idea is to equip an infrastructure that allows, the dumping of everything that we know about the world from all the millions of customers into some kind of data lake, data warehouse, whatever your favorite term is, and then have the ability to suck data out of that and perform data analytics and data science. Seeds, I don't know what that is. So apparently whatever it is, we don't do it. I also misread it. So thank you. But anyway, so I am in the big data division as a senior manager over data infrastructure. So we're basically just kind of owning the data warehouse, basically, so that the data science people can pull, the right information out to make the right kinds of queries, so they can make super extra hyper smart business decisions. Which, again, this is not a new idea, and everybody doing anything is doing that kind of thing. So anyway, that's it. I have accepted that position. I have already begun to spend some time over there, and some of the people that I manage are in Helena, Montana, Salt Lake, Seattle, Bay Area, and LA. So one of the groups is, some of the people's is in Helena, Montana, and I've never been to Helena Handbasket. So that's where I'm going on Wednesday, and then like I said, I should have things set up enough that I can, I'll take whatever I need to broadcast remote from Helena. So that's the cat out of the bag. I have already submitted my resignation to the department, but I haven't put the general word on the street to the students. So, yeah. So, anyway, it's what I need to do for myself and my family. Mike, it was not a spicy resignation. It was rather boring and mundane, and I don't know what you want to call it. It's too late, Luke. But anyway, I will miss you guys, but we got 7 glorious weeks ahead of ourselves. So let me pivot to that's my story, man. I'm sticking to it. Let me pivot to the class schedule because we are here. We should have spent a week. Should have. What does that even mean? We had on the schedule to spend a couple weeks on class diagrams, and then spring break. We were going to spend up to a week before spring break on class diagrams, and then another bit of time afterwards on class diagrams. And we're going to talk class diagrams today and Wednesday. Okay. Thank you, Tyson. Yeah. So what I was saying is, oh, you're talking to Kevin. Kevin, where are you moving to, man? Oh, and by the way, where they most needed me was Salt Lake, which worked out perfectly. I don't need to relocate. DC. Ooh, good luck with that. Yeah, I don't need to relocate. And during the pandemic, we've been basically 100% remote as a company with a very, very high degree of flexibility built in. In fact, I recommend so far from everything I've seen about SoFi, I recommend it as a place to consider. And we do have an office in Murray, just off the freeway, about 53rd South on the west side of the freeway. Same building as Finicity. But so class diagrams, and then next week we will stick with this. On Monday will be midterm review lecture, and then no class on Wednesday, just to give you a little extra time to do the midterm. And by the way, I will tell you about the midterm on Monday. I will actually read you the exam questions on Monday, and then I will tell you, and I want you to pay attention for a second. I want to tell you to pay attention to what I'm going to tell you about how to take my exam. Some of you already know it if you've had classes from me. I do everything short answer, and the idea in the short answer is that it's your opportunity. And I may say something like, tell me about class diagrams. Why would I want one? What does it help me do? I'm not going to ask painfully detailed questions, the answers of which you won't even remember 3 hours after the semester's over. I'm going to ask you things that are going to stick with you in 5 years. That's the stuff I care about. But when I say something like class diagrams, class diagrams are object-oriented by nature. Discuss. This is your opportunity to write me a little paragraph. And if you just go, object equals class, and that's all you say, then you're going to get 0 points. The goal is not to guess the 1 or 2 keywords I'm looking for, right? And then you're going to ask me, what are you looking for? You're going to use that stupid voice. And I'm going to say, I'm looking for signs of intelligent life. That's what I'm really looking for, is intelligent response. Teach me what you know. Imagine that I'm your little brother, little sister who doesn't know anything about this, and you want to explain it to me. That's what I'm looking for. Okay? And this is really, I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to say it again next Monday. The goal is not for me to assume that you know it, and then I can only take points off if you prove to me you don't. The point is for me to assume you don't know it and for you to show me that you do. So you start with 0, then you earn your way in by basically saying, let me tell you about class diagrams. Let me tell you about use case. What are use case diagrams good for? Do you have an internalized view of that? But I'll tell you what the questions are. So you can, and they are the kinds of questions that if you dive in, and take it seriously, you're going to be fine. Okay, right. So seeds, less memorization. The memorization thing, if you understand the rules of memory, the rules and skills of memorization, you can game any exam system that requires memorization. You can game it without learning anything and without learning anything permanent. In my mind, any class setting that you can game with a memory trick is bad pedagogy. Pedagogy meaning relating to the way in which we teach and deliver and students receive and ingest and internalize. Okay. So I want you to be able to tell me a story, and then the story is going to stick long term. And the only things I really care about are the things that are going to be more long term. Same reason I spend time every day talking about funny little design quirks. Okay, so that should be okay for that. Let me see. I'm just putting this back where it goes. Okay, let's talk about class diagrams today and Wednesday. And I don't know how we'll get through these. We'll see. I'll tweak the midterm accordingly. Current expectation, by the way, is this midterm will happen, and then there'll be a final exam, which will basically be like a second midterm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how far we got through this. Let's see. Oh, I know what happened. I got on a big diatribe, as I recall. Just a second. I'm just getting my chat back up. I went on a big diatribe about object-oriented programming, which I'm not upset about. I think it was a good thing to do. Hang on, let me clear this a little bit. All right. So, let's see what to say. We hit this one, right? Just looking at the slide. Yeah, the idea is that when I'm building object-oriented code systems, I got to document the classes I'm going to build, right? So why do I bother? Real quick, drop me some answers. Why don't I just write the code? Let the code be the doc. Why would I ever want to draw class diagrams, pictures, when the code, I don't think you can argue the fact that the code is a representation, right, of the design, right? Is it? Kevin, you can only view 1 or 2 classes or code windows at a time. Sure, but I can, right. And what you're saying, Kevin, is in contrast, you didn't say it. And by the way, Kevin, this as an exam question is you'd have to say the other side. But with class diagrams, you can drop a bunch of class diagrams together, see their relationships, all the while telling me about the structure of the classes. You got it right, Kevin? This is like midterm prep. Think about as you make these comments, give me full thoughts rather than partial thoughts, just as a reminder for exam time. Wes, you failed to plan. You planned to fail. Oh, did you make that up, Wes? Your code's going to be a mishmash of a pile. What does that mean, Wes? Give me why would your code be a mishmash of a pile? Mike makes an obscure reference to a device that I've probably never touched. I don't have a Samsung Odyssey G9. So I don't know the reference, Mike. What else? And for those of you that I've already commented on, you can clarify and add more if you'd like. But I got a few folks typing. What do you say? Gunner, increasing this abstraction makes the whole picture clear to the developer and anyone else. Ooh, okay, so this is really key. What Gunner said, the developer is not the only person who needs to understand the design. Anyone else who views the source code, but also anyone else who views the design, right? Anybody else who views the design. Yeah, so Tyson said design should be focused on proper design. Wow, did I just lose my slide? Yeah. Let me see. Design should be focused on proper design. Worrying about syntax and other things distracts. Right. Well, put it another way, worrying about the actual syntax and the gory details of the code distracts. So this just simplifies it down to the things you need to care about. Mike's dropping more about, okay, what is the gaming monitor monitors? Got it. Wes says, you're coding it all in one go, so it's going to be a stream of consciousness and a naked thought process. Might be a good stepping off point to refactor and optimize, but it should never be your final code. I don't know what, so I'm not trying to harass Wes, but I don't know what that means. And partly part of the reason is 2, 3, you use the word it 4 times, and I don't know what it means specifically in any of the 4 times. So hit it again, man. I'm just exercising for midterm, okay? Yeah, I don't know what that means, Wes. Okay, and then there's a separate thread that Mike started about the Odyssey G9 gaming monitor, which I don't know anything about, so I'm just gonna let it go. Lance, my code is self-documenting. Well, code should be self-documenting. The problem is that I want my design to be documented. So the code is self-documenting as far as, this is to Lance, my code is self-documenting as far as code should document itself, meaning the code. The code is also a document of the design, but a lot of times the code actually fails. It's a little bit like, yeah, Gunnar, this is a loop. That's the comment we need. No, but the design needs to be documented independent of the code so that I can use the document to drive test cases that I can use to test the code. You with me? If the code is the embodiment of the design, there's no objective design to tell me what is supposed to be true. The code, therefore, if the code is the spec, then the code by definition is correct. You can't find bugs. If the code is the spec, you can't find bugs. Does that make sense? That's the paradox. Seed says, yeah, try to look at the code and tell me how the 12 classes interact with each other in 60 seconds. No, this is exactly right. You can look at a class diagram and in 60 seconds start to see how the 12 classes interact. Exactly. That's great. Kevin, just about to say that. What if you're in the middle of refactoring? So I'm not sure which one you're responding to. Maybe Wes's? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that means, Kevin. Mike says, everyone I know who says my code's the documentation writes the least legible code. Fact. That is fact. That is, Kevin changed, you edited, the code will differ from intended design. Yes, always, always. And by the way, so will class diagrams to some extent, but to a lesser extent. Lance said class diagram could be seen more as the intention of what the code is to do. Yeah. Class diagram / documentation. Yeah. It's also an opportunity. It really comes back to what Mr. Seeds said. Try to look at the code and tell me how the 12 classes interact with each other in 60 seconds. That is the point. Because I can see that level of abstraction. I abstract away all the other details. Right? It's a little bit like we talked about blueprints for a house. If I have everything, if I just look into the house, tell me about the electrical. Well, I need a separate diagram that tells me about just the electrical. Okay, where are we at? Wes. Okay, here's a thought. It's like building an airplane as you're flying it when you just code and not plan things out with a UML diagram, use case diagram. Yeah, the issue, and I think you're trying to get to, is figuring stuff out before you launch the building, thinking it through, designing it through. There are decisions you make in the moment. Always true. Building a home. I used to be a home builder. Building a home, there are decisions you make just in the moment. That's true. And it doesn't matter what you're building, you're always going to make little decisions right in the moment. Are there any exceptions to that? No, I don't think there are, really. I wanted to say like NASA or something. William said, it's a good way to show the structure of the system to better understand the relationships and properties it has. Decently abstract, so even non-coders can understand the interaction. Yes, William gets the hand clap. No, this is it. The audience for code is, there's only two audiences for the code: compilers and coders who are building it or maintaining it. UML diagrams, there are other audiences for that, including other stakeholders, other designers, maybe program managers or product managers. There are different people who need to potentially see what it is that's being built. Siege, could it be like making up a recipe while you cook said recipe? It doesn't work. If it doesn't work, and in my experience, the food turns out like the epitome of garbage. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's the same reason that you can do some things, but at some point you have to document. That's the bottom line. Okay, so Mike said, if you believe that code is self-documenting, okay, I think you might, and I haven't looked at Miniboot, but the principle, Mike, is that code can be written obfuscated, difficult, and code can be written in a way that is what we call self-documenting. And self-documenting code, by definition, refers to code that helps you understand it as opposed to obscuring it. For example, variable names and class names and method names that really make sense, clear documentation internally, block comments, etc. Okay. All right. Nice. Then we got some comments about Miniboot. Okay. All right. Let me keep going then. But that's the answer to this question. Why would I want to bother with class diagrams? Why not just write the code, let that be the doc? What's the difference between use cases and the other UML diagrams? Okay. There's a handful of ways to answer that question. And I want to just throw this at you now. Let's see. Yeah, Wes, thanks for posting that. It looks very interesting. Okay. Last question here on this slide. What's the difference between use cases and the other UML diagrams, like class diagrams? And the kind of provocative question is, what's the nature of the activity that leads one to build a use case one day and a class diagram the other day? Talk to me. What do you think? These, by the way, are the kinds of things that I tend to ask on midterm questions. Like, why would I want to use a use case instead of a class diagram? What do you say? What say you, friends? Lance says use case, this is what we want to do. Class diagram says this is how we're going to do it. I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's perfect, but I think, Lance, that you're kind of moving in the right direction. So let me ask. I'm going to ask Lance this question specifically. Or actually anybody can answer, but with respect to use case, this is what we want to do from what perspective? Because this is what we want to do is really loose, right? That's really conceptually loose. Whose perspective, Lance? Talk to me. Yeah. So Kevin just said end users. No, don't apostrophize that, Kevin. So help me. Put that thing back where it came from. Or so help me. Yeah. Yes, that works. Thank you, Kevin. I almost came right through the Discord chat. I don't know why your generation struggles, man. You don't pluralize with an apostrophe. No, but okay. But Kevin, it's not just end users. What is it? Well, if it's not just end users, it is end users, but it's also what? Bueller? Yes, any actors. And an actor is any entity that's external to the system we're designing. It could be other code, could be some thread that runs, it could be some process that just lives, it could be a person, could be a sensor that just gets information and just kicks it in every time the timer goes off, right? Any of these kinds of things. Yeah, Gunnar, you're right, man, about its. I always read IT apostrophe it as it is. So when it's done wrong, it always sounds wrong. Okay. Yeah, so in other words, when I'm doing use case diagrams, I'm trying to understand the system from the perspective of those who are interacting with the system. Okay? That's what I'm doing when I'm doing use case diagram. When I'm doing class diagrams, I am implementing it. I'm still designing, but I am making implementation decisions. Okay? So you could say that use case diagrams deal with what do I want to do, which I think was, okay, who said it again? It was, they were bold, early, and right on. Come on, who said it? Where is it? Lance. Right. The what we want to do, it is more of that, and the class diagrams are, this is how we're going to accomplish that. Yeah. But you do have to qualify it. Okay. Wes said, use cases when you want the 30,000 foot view of the entire process of your program. all the actors, components, process, relationships. Yeah, I think that's right. Similar to an entity relation diagram, an ER diagram. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So a good one, Wes. I like that. Okay. Next slide. We talked about blueprints. We talked about declarative, did we not? Did I talk about static versus dynamic? Does that ring any bells? So a static view of a system is a look at, like, okay, if I look at code, you show me your code. Here it is, lines of code. I look at it. I am looking at a static view of your program. Okay. Now, in contrast, if I instrument your code so that I can watch a monitor that tells me what your code is doing in real time as it runs, like memory consumption is going up, it's going down, there's a memory leak, where all the CPU's time is burning, right? All that. That's a dynamic view. Same system, but I can view it statically and I can view it dynamically. It turns out that with UML, some of the UML diagrams are static, like use case diagrams, like class diagrams. And some of them are dynamic, like object diagrams. Okay? So you just have to separate. You got to burn that into your heads. This idea that there is a static view into systems, and a blueprint is a static view of a house, right? A video of a drone, video from a drone flying, like you go to, these days when you do real estate, you're going to sell your house, you get a drone to fly and take pictures of a house. That is a dynamic view of the house. You can see the wind blowing, you can see the state of the trees at that time of the year, snow on the ground. It's a dynamic view, okay? But the blueprint just tells you where these things should be, okay? And the actual photograph of the real house is going to be a dynamic view. Okay. All right. That's really important. Okay. What I just said, you gotta believe it. What I just said is really important. So what about this one? Let me see. This last question. If a class is a static description of an object, first of all, does that make sense? A class is a static description of an object. It's the blueprint of the object. It's the declaration of the object, but it's not the object alive and running. The class tells you, for example, what a constructor would do and must do, but until you instantiate that object with running code, that constructor doesn't run. No memory is allocated, right? So if a class, so I want some answers to this one. I demand answers. If a class is a static description of an object, how much value does that provide? Why would that be valuable? Talk to me. And I'm obviously comparing that to behavioral models, okay? You understand that that's the alternative, behavioral, if it's not declarative. What say you? Okay, Tyson, you're going to have to say more words. It helps you skeleton out the class. What do you mean by that? Who else? Oh, Riley, it tells us what an object could be and what it can do. Yes. What else, Riley? What else does it tell me? At some level, you could say that any static description does tell me how it must do what it's going to do. So it's just more, you know what I mean, Riley? It's just more words, right? I mean, what it could be, what it can do. Well, what it must do what it must be and what it will be and what it must do and what it will do if and when it's ever instantiated. Okay? Does that make sense, Riley? So you're right. Just saying, to be more precise, it is more than a potential. It's potentiality. But then if it's ever, you instantiate an object, that constructor is going to run, and it's going to do exactly what you told it to do, Okay. Then I talked about this. I think I already hit this at length. The idea that object-oriented, I know I did. I talked about side effects, chunks of code, high coupling, cohesion. We didn't really talk about because there wasn't modularity. Dave Parnas. And then these are a couple of ideas. I want to just make sure, do I have... Yeah, I just want to talk about low coupling and high cohesion for a second. Okay. First of all, do you hit these before now? Where do you get, who teaches you about coupling and cohesion? These are really, really important ideas. Did I talk about that in 2450? Good. Well, then this ought to be a question I can ask you. Kevin barely mentioned, which means Kevin was asleep in class the day they talked about that in 2450. But that's a... Mike's work taught him. Gunnar never heard of it. Gunnar slept through that whole week. Well, let me hit you with it. The idea is really, really simple. Okay? The idea is really, really simple. Let's say I have my drink cup here. This just happens to have just ice water. There's some ice. You can hear it. Where is it? I'll make a mess. It's just ice water. You can't, bad demo. You can't really hear it. But if I say that this cup is about ice water, then there really should be only a few things in here. Okay? What should be in here? If I say this is ice water, what should be in it? And this, by the way, is the definition of cohesion. What should be in my mug? If I tell you this is ice water. H2O in two different forms. Yes, thank you, Connor. H2O in solid and liquid forms. And imperceptibly, there's some gas. There's some H2O gas, right in this empty space here, with a little bit of what do we call that anyway? A little mist, a little evaporation, humidity, whatever, right? Yeah, that defines, because this is ice water. There's a bunch of stuff that should not be in here. Bugs, pencil shavings, chocolate syrup, right? Now, there are reasons to have containers that have bugs, other reasons that there are containers that have pencil shavings, and other reasons why there are containers that have, among other things, chocolate syrup. But the definition, the description of this thing right now is ice water. If it were iced tea or Diet Coke or, a Jamba Juice, these would all be different designs. And if I go to Jamba Juice, okay, what's your favorite Jamba? Traces of saliva, yeah. If I go to Jamba, right, you got a favorite Jamba? When you go to Jamba and you order whatever you order, right, what do you like? What do you like at Jamba Juice? How are we doing on time? Probably bad. Oh my gosh, we're at time. Let's wrap up with Jamba Juice, and we'll come back to this. I will adjust the midterm to reflect how far we got, okay? But I want to talk about this, and we'll definitely come back. Orange Dream? Is that supposed to be Dream, Gunner? And you can edit. You can edit, by the way, in Discord. You can edit what you type. Orange Dream. Okay, so Gunnar, there are ingredients to an orange dream, yes? And if suddenly it's got like chocolate in it, it doesn't belong, okay? It's not a cohesive idea. You're trying to do multiple things. It's like you kind of said, well, you got to ask yourself, what's the principle of cohesion that's at play, okay? And if the cohesion is, I want an orange dream by Dr. Dre, right? If that's the definition of what I'm trying to do, cohesion says that orange-like ingredients and things that go with it represent the cohesion of what should be in it. Chocolate syrup should not be in it. Malt should not be in it. Iced tea should not be in it. If you did do certain things, that's a different thing, governed by a different design principle. The fact that they're both parts of fruit smoothies is not good enough to say, therefore, they belong together. So cohesion means that they belong together. Okay? You with that? You with me on this? That's what cohesion means. That the things that are in, and in particular, we're now talking about a class. What are the methods? What's the data? It should only be what belongs together. It's pretty subjective, but that cohesion should be very, very high. Okay? Low cohesion means you're throwing a bunch of other crap in there that doesn't belong in there, and it will lead to difficulty when you're building your code later. Okay? All right, we're out of time, so I'm going to cut you loose. But love you, my friends. You got me for 7 more weeks till we're out of this adventure together. We'll come back on this slide, and we'll talk more about class diagrams on Thursday. That's really disturbing. Can't help it. Okay, amigos. I will catch you later.